I've been thinking a lot about the data that cameras produce. If we look here, this is the stacked data which I have stretched with the screen transfer functions. If I take that away, that's what was basically stacked from Deep Sky Stacker. And you stretch it, and if you zoom in on this, the stars are really, really green and really horrible. And that's not necessarily a problem. It's because you would run a bit of processing, so I'll just do a background neutralization, then color calibration, and then SCNR will remove the green. And you can see now when you look at the data from this, it looks better than before. And I've noticed this with the 405cc, that everything is very green and also quite orange, sort of getting these greeny orange pictures. And this is the Elephant's Trunk Nebula, which I took again with the 405cc. And if we zoom in on this one, you can see again it's got that very heavy green. So I'll go through the same process again, background neutralization, color calibration, and then finally SCNR. And you can see that the stars have improved massively. So they've no longer got that green. So if I undo this, there you go, the green comes back. And it's really weird data from the 405cc. And it's super difficult to work with. And if we look at the final image that I got for the Elephant's Trunk, which was this one, there's kind of a weird quality to it, which isn't, it's just not very pleasant. It's kind of, the data's just got funny sort of noise around it. It's just not very nice data. It's a really tricky camera to use, and it doesn't produce nice, clean data. I'd like to give a kind of conclusive report on the 405cc, and in truth, it's a very difficult camera to use, and the images it produces have some weird artifacts in them, and you have to be very careful with your calibration frames. I was lucky enough to get hold of a ZWO ASI533 camera to try, and although I wasn't particularly keen on the sensor size, the actual data it produced was stunningly good. I mean, it was really good. You can see here's the stacked image, and if I run a stretch on this, so this is M33, the Triangulum Galaxy, and if we zoom in on this data, you can see just how nice the information is on this. It's just really nice data. Now, although it looks slightly noisy, this is 34 minutes of data gathering, just 34 minutes. And I'd say it's really nice, and it actually produced a staggeringly good image. If I just open up the finished image for you, that was the final image which I managed to get from a ZWO 533 ASI 533 camera, and that's just 34 minutes of data, which is amazing. That's just beautiful. It's really good. And I've still got to process this, but I also took an image of Andromeda with this particular camera, and this is the information. I've not processed this though, but this was about 2 hours of data, and just look how lovely this data is and how clean it is. That's just stacked data coming from the camera. It's just really, really nice. And so to work with this data will be really good. The other thing which I've been looking at recently is I've started using the 60 EDF, and I'm not using the dedicated flattener for that. I'm using just a standard flattener that I have, and I've noticed that the stars are really quite poor in the corners, and you can see They're very elongated here, and I'd really like to try and address that. So I'm going to hopefully borrow a field flattener which is dedicated for this particular camera. But I was also wondering whether this is tilt on the camera. So I went into ASTAP to have a look at the tilt measurement function in that program. So I'm in ASTAP now, and if I just load a light, this file is not debayed, it's just been dragged in. But if you go to Tools and then Image Inspection and then click on Tilt, it'll tell you if there's an issue with the image. Now that's really interesting. So this is telling me that the tilt is 13%, which is mild. So it's obviously not tilt on this particular image, which is great, because I was worried that when I looked at these stars on the edge that there might be something wrong with the imaging chain. That pretty much confirms for me that it is the field flattener that I need to look at. So I think the next step is to put the correct field flattener onto this telescope. That's it for this video. I haven't got anything else to show really. The weather's been rubbish. I should have the field flattener for the Altair 60 EDF, and then I can test that hopefully on the next clear night.